Hello, welcome to Host Transform, and my name is Jessica, and today we have a special guest, and his name is Jan Lelie, all the way from The Hague, and we will talk about facilitation skills and what the importance of that actually is. And Jan Lelie is the author of the book Facilitation as a Second Vocation or Profession. Okay, so Jan, for the people that have never met you and have not read your book and maybe not even know so much about facilitation, can you talk a little bit about yourself? Like, how did you come up with this vocation yourself? Was it in your childhood? Did it suddenly pop up, or was the whole journey, or yeah?
Yeah, I think a bit of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like a mixture. I studied physics in Leiden University, biophysics, and when I was almost done there, I had the opportunity to do an MBA, Master of Business Administration, and there was something new there that was called Business Innovation Systems, and because I used to work with computers, I thought, well, I'd go to do that. So I started out in ICT business in business information system development, and I worked for 6 weeks as a consultant, and then I decided this is nothing for me. So then I started to call everybody in one room, and one of my ideas is, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. It's a systemic view. So problems and solutions are in a dynamical equilibrium. So your problem is probably a symptom of my solution, and my problem is a symptom of your solution. And when you share your ideas on what works and what doesn't work and how you relate to each other, then suddenly there emerges understanding or communication. And 90% of the information system development problems are not information system related at all. They have to do with people and cultures, engagement, and the inability of people to phrase their problems adequately. So, as a physicist, I've been trained in problem formulation. I always say, the question is 80% of your answer. Everybody's looking for answers, but basically the question frames the answer. So you have to be very careful in what.
You're already steering there. Yeah.
So I developed that from my experience as a physicist, experimental physicist, and just applied it at groups, and it was a tremendous success. So in the end, I became production manager in one of the Philips factories, and we were at 100% quality, no quality problems, 100% delivery reliability. We were so fast in delivering, I didn't even dare to mention it. We were so flexible. So and then they decided to close the factory.
Oh.
Because the cost went through the sky. But it has to do with the costing system of Philips, the accounting system. So if you are running a very smooth, very agile factory, then the accounting system says you're making a very big loss. I said, yeah, we always made a big loss, but nobody noticed because of the accounting system.
That's not transparent. Yeah.
But no, I had a very hard time explaining that, so they decided, okay, close it down. So then I was forced to work for myself. And I developed these tools and methods and tricks and whatever you call it. And I decided, okay, let's see if I can expand it. So I started to work with as a freelancer. It was then called Might It Work. And
when was this about?
I think 1992, 1994. Yeah.
And what was so you have a background in physics. What was can you kind of grasp what fascinates you so much about taking this course? Like, what was drawn you towards it? Was it maybe the effect on people? Was it something you feel inside when you do this work, or is there something you could describe why this is so essential for you to do?
Cool, a deep question. Well, I think it's in the title of the book. I think it's a calling. I always say this IEF means International Association of Facilitators, and we try to be professionals, and I think we're not professionals, we have been called to do this. So it's the same word, but it's a different meaning. So in my case, I think it's a calling. It's just, it has always been, how should I say it, in my nature. It's never been different. I've always facilitated. You know, from high school on, I know I worked with groups, and I love to work with groups, and to the amazement of many people, I was able to stand in front of a crowd of 200 angry pupils because the band we had engaged wasn't coming.
Oh wow! So you had to.
And I remember one of my teachers, my high school teacher, say to me, "Amazing, 200 angry people, and you didn't blink an eye." And then I said, "They are not angry with me."
You didn't take it personal.
Don't take it personally.
Yeah,
So
nice.
I think that's one of the. I'm lucky. I never take anything personal. It's not about me. It's about, so.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I often say that as well. It's not about you. Yeah.
No, it's not about you.
Yeah.
And then I have the marvelous ability to meet the people I need. So that's. At every point in my life, then suddenly somebody emerges, like you, for instance. And I call it synchronicity. You know, it's also in my book. Synchronicity. It isn't a method, but it does work. So you have to be able that there are clues given to you by people. Say, okay, do it this way, or perhaps you should do it like that way. And then sometimes the clues are too early. Sometimes it's like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, you cannot really do
and
anything.
And sometimes they are too late. So, okay, you should have mentioned that 2 years ago. But that's how it is.
Yeah.
So that's how I started to work. And then I gradually expanded it into a way of working. And then I met in the late 1990s Will McWhinney. And Will McWhinney wrote a book, Creating Path of Change, which at the back says it's the one of the most important book about social change to appear in a decade, and nobody has read it.
Oh wow!
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, but I was fascinated by the book, and I recognized his approach, and we came into contact, and I went to him in the United States, and he came a few times here to the Netherlands, and I worked with him.
Nice.
So, and basically my work is a translation, or not a translation, but how do you say it? It's added on his meta praxis. I already had a discussion about it. It's not a theory, but it's a way how to engage the actual situation you're in.
Yeah, you're talking about when you do like train the trainers.
Yeah.
Like also for this book is also, for example, for me to get more skilled in facilitation, for example. And if I'm correct, it's not A to Z stepping plan how to become a best facilitator, because it's something, there's like another level towards it that you cannot always describe. That's something you have to reflect upon yourself. You need to have the ability to reflect on your own being or thinking in the moment.
Yeah. Yes.
So is there a way you guide people through that process, or is there?
Well, basically, we started out a few years ago with our course. It's called a leergang. So it's not a training, but it's a course because it's based on experiential learning. So we ask people to come in and bring their cases to the table, and like in the 30-minute sessions, act it out with each other. So people go in a row, and then we reflect on what is learning. So in the cycle you have an intention, you've got an action, you've got a result. You compare the intention with the results, and then you formulate a new intention, and that cycle goes on. And on. So that's basically how it works. So this is how we work in the course. Then I use the meta model or the theory of McWhinney with it, and then because it's in English, people ask me, "Can you write it in Dutch?" And I said, "Okay, I can write it in Dutch, but technically the theory is not in the book; it's in the practice."
It's in the practice.
So I always said, "I cannot write a book about it because it's not about the book; it's about the actual action."
Yeah.
But then I met some people like Joyce, for instance, and who supported me in writing the book, in developing the concept and creating framework and supporting me with beautiful pictures. And also, as I told you, I met my muse. You have to know somebody who you write or you offer the book towards.
Yeah.
And then finally it kind of written itself, you know. It's
nice.
So it's more like you're trying to the book flows through you.
So this was also based on synchronicity, kind of to find it first.
I very much resented having to write a book, but then the universe kicked in. So okay, now you're going to write this book. So it's and then you go with the flow, and in the end, well, I think it's very nice. I always said the book is way ahead of its time. My publisher was very annoyed when I said.
Okay.
But
that's interesting. Can we maybe talk a little bit about that too? Like we talk about transformations, personal transformation. That's also where I facilitate people in their personal transformation, but then also within a team, within an organization, so cultural transformation, but then also as a society.
Yes.
It's also a systemic way of looking at the world, I think. It's not isolated from one and the other. And before we started this interview, you already explained to me that you think or you feel we're in a transition. And can you explain a little bit about that? What do you mean by that? What kind of transition?
What kind of transition?
Yeah, or can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, it's exactly as you said. We are I think in cycles. So you have a personal cycle, and in your personal cycle you've got through transitions. You are the teams and the organizations you're in, and also on a societal level and also on a global level we have these cycles. And these cycles have different cycle times. And I strongly feel that somehow these cycles are going to be synchronized. So your personal crisis is suddenly complicated by a crisis in your organization. And your organization is also in this huge financial crisis which has started in 2008. And this financial crisis is also part of a global crisis which has to do with the energy transition. People say about energy transformation and we have to go to a green society, etc. So these cycles are now coinciding and gradually building up to a very big, how shall I say it, event, a transformative event. And
is this nearby, this event?
We're right in the middle of it.
We're in the middle of it.
I think it has started like perhaps 30, 40 years ago. And it's now gathering speed. And what I try to do is, in my training and in educating and in facilitating facilitators, is to prepare them not for the crisis, but that is inevitable, but for the period after that, because then we have to recover ourselves, we have to refine ourselves. So, and then I think you really need facilitators.
Yeah.
One of the speakers at the conference is Mark Pixley, and he trains facilitators for the period after disaster. For instance, he trains people in Nepal 6 months after the earthquake. So the earthquake has gone and the people are slowly getting back to their normal, and then they need people who are able to communicate, to guide this group through this.
Capacity building and on a different level. It's not so much about the buildings, but getting the people into in sync and to build on one and the other.
Good way to phrase it. So that's I just look at the writers from the wall. You know, everybody used the word transformation.
It's
so.
Well, yes.
Transformation is a new change. I even have been to a conference in Berlin, the Berlin Change Days, in how to change transformation.
Wow. Well, because for me transformation is really different from change. Often I don't use change because change is kind of ending, and transformation is more evolutionary. It's kind of evolving. It's ongoing. I mean, this is how I feel it and interpret it and use it. And transition is a shorter period as well. It has a beginning and an end. And transformation is an ongoing loop.
It's both. You know, it's both a period, and it's both has a beginning and an end. Also, transformation has a beginning and an end, and again it recurs again and again and again. And I think we should use these as a kind of exercises to become better at transformation, and better when it occurs, that you are able to. That's basically what I call the meta praxis. Suddenly you see in a situation, oh wait, this is a transformative situation, and then you can intervene.
Yeah.
And the basic intervention, in my opinion, is to slow down, because people want to get to transformation too fast.
Yeah.
They want to get to the other side of this problem.
Often they're by themselves then. Yeah.
So and that's I think that's the most difficult thing to learn. Just be patient, just be there, wait, and then wait some more, and then wait some more, and then suddenly I hear the intervention being mentioned, and sometimes I even then still ignore it, and then okay, and now you do the intervention, and it can be as simple as touching somebody. You know? And sometimes it's a question you pose, or...
Can you give a little example? Is this like when you're with your participants, when you prepare them for facilitating meetings within their organization? Do you have a concrete example when this intervention of your side as a facilitator occurred?
Yeah, a few years ago, one of the most intelligent women I ever had the honor to support in her development. This is a 6 days course, and in the third day she was really desperate, and she came to me and said, Jan, I really don't understand what you're talking about. And she said it in Dutch, and in Dutch the word to understand is begrijpen. I don't have a grasp on what you're meaning. And I said, I grasp you. And they said, no, you don't understand. I really don't get a grasp. And then again, I grasped her, and then for a third time, and 2 hours later she made an intervention that was simply brilliant.
Oh, wow.
So I heard her say, I want to be touched. So it's begrijpen is a physical, it's not a mental. She phrases, she has a PhD, she's very intelligent, so she thinks that understanding is a mental exercise. But I think it's a physical, a bodily experience, and we need to be understood. And I could have said to them, I understand what you do, but at the same time I realized that's not enough. You have really to do the act of really touching one another person, and she has a very strict personal space.
For her it was revolutionary what you were doing.
And that's what I mean by the time, and you cannot time this, you know. Most of the time this was also during the end of a lunch, you know. Then suddenly the situation, what I say, opens, then you do the intervention.
Interesting. Yeah, because you cannot explain these things, and often when I do a check-in, there's also people, and that's really brave, I think. They say, I ask, how do you feel, for example, in the here and now, and they say, I feel a bit anxious or nervous, but I don't know why. And I think it's really brave, and I'm not trying to, help them and get rid of that sensation. It's just what it is, and maybe they're on the border of transforming or learning something or take something away.
Well, that's it. If you are on the border of transformation, you automatically back off, because this thing is so huge or so dangerous, or you don't know, or you're anxious about it, and then you want to protect yourself against it, and at the same time you need it, you know. So that's a kind of the double situation. You need the transformation, and at the same time you resist it. That's also why we use the hero's journey as a metaphor, because that's also in the hero's journey. You meet some people and you feel resistance. And I always say the learning is in the resistance. Whatever creates resistance within you is probably the things you have to deal with, or to learn, or to accommodate, or to facilitate.
To break you to the next step.
But our training is always to, how shall I say, to resist the resistance. To try to avoid it, or to try to overcome it, and not to to succumb it. Well, in a transformation is you have to be resistant. I use the metaphor of the caterpillar who is becoming a butterfly, but resists going into the cocoon. The transformation is in the cocoon, so the transformation is a very dark place where you're not going to know what has happened. It is necessary. So what the caterpillar does in order not to come into the cocoon is eat. So eat more, but the more I eat, and then suddenly you are so big that there's only one option. Go into the cocoon, surrender you to the process, and come out as a beautiful butterfly. So
nice.
And you know the joke about the two caterpillars looking at the butterfly and they talk to each other and they say, I certainly hope that I never will look so ridiculous. And that's also part of the transformation, you know. So that's the resistance to become who you really are is actually very scary.
Scary, yeah. Because also for me, in the end, it's all the time embracing again that you can just simply be yourself, and what we got taught in schools, which has nothing to do with this.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. You know, like why can we not? I mean, you can call it the school of life, or becoming conscious about who you are, or also to talk about, you know, what you think of a person, and just to reflect upon that, what you feel with someone, and why you feel a disconnect, or why, you know, these kind of things. To talk from a meta level, in a sense. And to communicate, to learn about these kind of communication skills instead of only rational, if it's something correct or wrong, and use a feedback loop, which is really static, and these kind of things. So your book is about facilitating as second occupation, or vocation, or profession, calling. Beautiful, and to deal with transformation or change. And why is this a second calling? Why should people, in your opinion, embrace this extra skill, or however you would love to frame it?
Why is it? It's well, I call it a second calling because I think that in the normal development as an individual, you start up with doing things you're good at, you're successful in. And you study, you go to university, you go to work at the workplace, and then you get praise and success because of the things you can, and you are very able to it. Then you get better and better at it after 10,000 hours of exercises. You're at the peak of your abilities, and then suddenly you get into a crisis, because when you are at the top of the pyramid, the only way is down. So
exciting times.
And then you have to embrace your weak things, the things you resent about yourself, the things about you find difficult to do, you know. And then you have to, and that is always appears only when you are in front of a group, because a group, it acts like a mirror. They reflect the things you don't like about yourself. You know, with the true mirror, it's also the same. You know, you look through a mirror and you think, okay, my hair is very bad. Well, in technically, I say a group does the same thing. Your hair is looking very bad, but then
or
about
positive things.
Then about, for instance, you are unable to listen very carefully. Then they notice, okay, he doesn't listen very carefully. Interesting, and then they don't listen to you, because the trick is that you have to be able to listen very good, and then they will listen to you, and not the other way around. So, and that's what the group does, and then you have to get in sync with that, not in sync, to accommodate that, to accept it, to work with it, and that is called. That's why I call it the second calling. Most people then, for instance, get into a crisis and get into another job or another whatever, and what also happens is that people stop being promoted. So they think, okay, this is enough. This is my level of incompetence. I'm satisfied with it. I work with it. I don't need more success. You know, it's Peter principle.
So do you also mean then it's kind of a journey of introspection, to getting to know yourself, your real self, because you kind of have to. You're in this peak. When you
working with groups, you have to know yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're not working with groups, then it's not that necessary. But every project manager or consultant or senior consultant, or if you're working with the government, now and then you have to work with groups. And if you want to do that better, then you should develop your facilitation skills.
Here you go.
And if you say, no, I'm satisfied with it as it is, then hire an outside facilitator. Don't do this at home. Ask somebody to support you. That is also in the other book. There's a list. When should I hire somebody else to do it? So that is. But if you want to go on as a facilitator or a change agent or a transformative consultant or process consultant or however you call it,
facilitator,
then you have to integrate. I think integrate is a good word. Your shadow or the complement of what you are. You know, it's not that you are not that. You are also that. You know, and that's
so beautiful. So you really. Because I also kind of advocate this with the 3 pillars I just explained to you from leadership, that you need to know more about yourself, and the introspection, the personal development needs to be at least in sync with the development to learn more about how to facilitate a group. Because if you're there and you're very technical, people cannot feel you. I'm not even meaning it by a spiritual way, but just be really there because you accept yourself and you can look upon the group from a meta level, and from there you can intervene. That's your contribution, and not so much, we have yellow post-its and orange post-its. I see it a lot, it becomes really technical. And everyone is discussing about which post-its to take. I'm like, this is not. You want people to get in sync and not engage and not to talk about the exercise. The exercise is just a mean to an end to get the process going. So
and of course there is the technical side of it. You have to know when to use red and when to use green or yellow post-its.
There needs to be some playing
and
field.
And there's also
rules.
training. I've also been training how to rip them off so that they don't curl.
Also very important.
At the same time, it's also you have to be able to throw it out of the window and just sit down and have a cup of coffee or have a breakdown or whatever and discuss what is happening, and that you're not feeling well or that the other person is showing some resistance or whatever, and then shift gears. And most of the time it's slowing down. So slow down, wait a second.
And in improv we call it, what does the scene need?
What does the scene need? And a lot of facilitators use improvisation. It's a
great tool, huh?
I once worked with a student who was an intern with us, and you could just throw any group at her. She worked with the group, and then she came, I'm now at this point, what do I do now? And I said, this and this and this. Okay. And she went away. And 20 minutes later, and now I'm at this point, what do we do now? I said, that and that. Okay. And she was just so natural at it. So I think, where did you learn it? Well, I do improv.
Improv. You get to deal with a lot of stuff, becoming an alien when you don't want to, and then somebody dies, you just laughed, and you have to all accept it and let the others shine.
Let the others shine.
Very important ground rules.
And that's so that's a way to develop it. And everybody has his own its path. So every path is unique in its way. The people you met, the mentors you meet, what you need, etc. And
definitely.
And your biggest successes most of the time start out as your biggest disasters,
Definitely for me too. Like 5 years ago, I was a lecturer at one of the private business schools in the Netherlands, and for me it was not a good experience. Like I tried for 1.5 years, and I was actually connecting on analytical terms. So I was really searching for the word. I was really educating. I was not facilitating so much.
Teaching.
And, I was teaching. Worse. And now 5 years later, I get only straight A's from all students, even the ones I think in the beginning, maybe not very open for it, but let's see, it's a challenge. Because I'm facilitating, I'm hosting, as I call it.
You both hosting.
To get the energy there, the openness for people to learn from one or the other, not from me per se, maybe not at all. And that's the magic key, I think. For a group.
Yeah.
That they feel trust and worthy, that they can do it themselves, and
that you're able to maintain the space. To create the space, to maintain the space in the time, and to hold it.
Yeah, to hold it. Yeah.
To host whatever happens.
Yeah.
Whatever wants to be
it's
known.
meant to be happening. Yeah, and to trust that process as well.
To trust the process, and it sounds very easy.
Yeah.
And it is very easy, but at the same time, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Just being there is so difficult.
Yeah, I also coach entrepreneurs, and I talk about the uncertainty. I think that's the biggest kind of quest for us, that uncertainty is a status quo more than ever, if I can say it like that, so bold. Because before you kind of knew where to go when you were lacking some knowledge, or you know exactly which job, there was more certainty, things were more rolled out. And now everything's kind of chaos, and you have to create your own opportunities or be open for it, and how do you do that? And while I'm training these, or not training, I'm facilitating that space, I actually use my experience with them as the example of I'm dealing with uncertainty too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know you guys. I'm facilitating, so there is a brief, there's a scenario, but it's not very from A to Z written out, because I want the process to occur on its own pace. And what do I do if the energy will drop, or so I always try to get them in my shoes and to learn from that perspective too. Yeah. So in a sense, facilitation skills, to obtain them, it's not so much about you applying that for a group and you become a professional facilitator, but also to really learn about how to deal with uncertainty. That's also like
yes, uncertainty. I call it even worse. I call it doubt.
Doubt.
I borrowed it from Peirce, the American philosopher. He said people resist doubt. You don't want to doubt the uncertainty. Okay, everything is uncertain, but when you start doubting, then it's getting worse. So we have three or four coping mechanisms to deal with doubt. And one is you just believe what is being said to you. Okay, I'll trust my father, or I'll trust the book, or I trust the system. Not the system, but what is.
What is.
And most people get stuck in there. And then he says there is a fourth way of using doubt, and that's to use it as a probe. So you let your doubt intact. So you're constantly asking yourself, okay, what is happening, and is what interesting. So you use your uncertainty as a tool. So because there's always uncertainty, and then you say, okay, and that is one of my great insights. I even knew when I got it that I was on the bike driving to The Hague, and I suddenly realized doubt is my only certainty.
Yay!
So I can.
Okay, I'm not sure if that will make people more relaxed in my training.
But me.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I see it as a huge potential, because if there's only doubt, then everything is possible again, or something. You have to reinvent the wheel, because there's no one truth, and and then things. I see it as a transformation in a positive sense, that you get people that kind of share same worlds. They will connect way easily then, because there's no other option.
Yeah.
Like, before, I'm sure people worked in organizations when they felt there was not really a fit, but they just did it because they had the diplomas, and you have to. But now you kind of, you don't have that luxury in a sense, but on the other hand, you really have to connect with people that are kind of in your ecosystem and work with them, because it's too much of a stretch to work with people that really, do not engage, do not speak your jargon literally or metaphorically. So I see that as a big plus. You can really do what you love, and you can meet the people, and also your clients become the people that you also really love. So it's not so difficult anymore.
No, it's the fifth element.
What's the fifth element?
Love.
Love. Here you go. I often say with my sessions, I only try to make people falling in love with each other.
Yes, very
That's
good.
the only thing I do.
Yeah.
That's nothing. Yeah,
And you can't blame gravity for it.
Yeah. So, facilitation, you mentioned something about the word facilitation.
Yeah.
It has leadership in it.
Facilitation is of two parts: to make, factory, to make,
Okay.
factory, for instance, a fact.
Aha.
It's also made up.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee, it means connection. It's a very old, 6,000 years old part of a word, and it's in connection. It's in the word relationship. It's also in the word leadership. I suspect, by the way, that it's also in the word love. I think that the law in love is the same as so it changes because it has so it's in intelligence. There also in religion, and so it's in reality. Also, it's about making connection, making and breaking connection. Catalyst.
Beautiful.
Is also so that's and it's a verb. It's an action. It's not a thing. So it's something that goes on continuously. You make connection and you break it again. You make connection.
It's beautiful for me to know that it has this extra connotation.
Yes.
Multiple actually, because that's why I thought of host, because I couldn't really feel satisfied with the word facilitation. It's kind of, there's more layers in there, but maybe it's a good word.
Well, you have to use the word that fits you. The word host fits you. You are a host.
I think so.
I'm not a host.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's how I think words work. So you it's like the clothes you wear. You use what fits you.
Yeah.
So I always people, and I'm very famous about it. I always hear the second meaning of the word you're using, and that exactly says what it is or what you are or what you think. And most of the time people don't hear the second layer of what they're saying.
It's more like simplicity how they listen to communication word.
And it also has to do with there's also one of the problems in the book that somehow the words you use frame what you are saying, but that the meaning is not in the words.
It's in the questions then.
No, the meaning is in the relationship.
Oh yeah, when you build it together.
Yeah.
The third space.
So the meaning, when you read a book, the meaning is created through the reading. This book has no meaning when it's not being read.
Yeah. It's about how I interrelate with it. Yeah.
So everybody creates also his own book. You know, I've written this book, but you're reading a completely different book.
Yeah. That's also why I love improv theater. You know, when you play, for example, we always get to play in a very big way or not talk too much, because people often when they feel nervous they're gonna talk a lot. It's also in real life, right? People wanna rationalize things and be understood, so they use a lot of words. But the less words you use, the more interpretation people can get, and they can connect with themselves, and the more meaning maybe is generated, if you can put it that way. So I think that's really beautiful how you put it about how you actually create your own reality by reading it yourself through your mind. So the International Association of Facilitators, can you briefly tell me and people that are watching a little bit about it? Why is it so special?
Why is it so special?
Yes.
Why is it so special? Facilitators are very, very rare. So I personally think and also they are very rare. We don't need them often, you know. So and also in my view, it's not a profession; it's a calling. And also the differences are huge, you know, from improvisation, facilitation to people who work with systemic constellations, to people who look creative techniques. The difference between facilitators is so huge that basically you cannot have them in one organization. I've given up that idea, but at the same time we have to teach and learn and understand and evolve as human beings and as facilitators. So, and that needs a structure or and a network. So basically I think the IEF is an international network of facilitators, and it has had the form of an association. So you become member, But at the same time, it's like the Groucho Marx joke. I don't want to be member of a club that wants me as a member.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be special.
And about 80% of the facilitators inside the IEF think that way.
Yeah.
So our retention is very low.
Yeah.
So it's about 60% or so. And
it's funny. I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want to belong to one group. Yeah, this is me.
And
very
tiring. And one of the things we do is we do certification. So we have a certified professional facilitation. Because I think every profession has to have a facilitation. So it has to have a certification. You cannot not be certified in this world. I don't know why, but so and the IEF has developed a certification program, so we can have CPF behind our names.
Okay.
And also the way I tend to use it also here in the Netherlands, I founded the Dutch Facilitation Association. We organize conferences, we organize meetings where we share methods, tools, techniques, tips, recreate interventions we did, exchange things.
Beautiful.
So, and basically what I try to do is connect the different workshops from improvisation, from open space, from systemic development, and just also from project managers, just meet with each other, work with each other, and then go home again. So I'm organizing now the EMENA conference, the European, Middle East and North Africa conference, where we invite facilitators, change agents, leaders from all over Europe, all over the world. Everybody is welcome, but we focus on Europe because we want to strengthen the community of practice in Europe in the first place.
Ah, beautiful.
It's called the Urge for Facilitative Leadership. And we were talking about that. I think there is a very big need for people who are able to lead in a facilitative way. So leaders need to become more facilitators, and some facilitators need to to develop the leadership skills. So why not become a leader yourself? So, and we try to organize it also in a new way. We don't want to have a boring conference where you have keynotes speaking to you, and after 3/4 of an hour you go to a coffee break and you say, okay.
Hopefully you meet someone.
So, for instance, one of the things we're doing is keynote on video. So we have a videotape of 10 minutes of the keynote, and then you, as a conference, go to work with what has been presented. You feed it back to your colleagues, and then the keynotes comes in, and you have a conversation about what they have learned from your keynote.
Flipping the classroom, is it?
Yeah,
right?
flipping the classroom. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Has all been trademarked or?
No, this is flipping. Yeah, it's trademarked. Yeah. It's a method they use for education as well. I use it a lot. I will send my students or people I train almost always some video or stuff ahead. Yeah. So when I meet, I only have to coach or make the rooms safe. Yeah. And I don't have to go into content.
Exactly. So it is also I want to do the workshop, so people can bring on a workshop. But I'm not going to decide who's going to do a workshop or a presentation. On Friday evening we sit together in open space. And somebody says, I need something to learn about improvisation. Okay, I can do that.
Nice.
Tomorrow from 9 to 12 in that room, and then we have a break and you bring in the cases, etc.
Beautiful.
So, and then you have far more interactions and far more. And also we are going to build what I call the map. The map of facilitative leadership. So during the day, as we are going to ask you to bring parts of the map to a central place where somebody who's very good at drawing, I suppose, map making, creates an image of what facilitative leadership means at the conference.
Interesting.
And then we share the parts and go back home. And then I hope, for instance, like you said, with flipping the classroom, that people in Sweden or in Serbia or in Egypt can use our video. You have seen the how it can be applied, and you use it in an evening or in an afternoon. To connect to people who don't speak English, because that's a main problem, of course. Most facilitators are very uncomfortable in working in English. You're very good in Swedish or in Serbian or in France. So and that's also a way to combine this.
Because I actually wanna soon use some methods also for in refugee camps, when of course people from unfortunately a lot of countries meet, have never met before, lost their identity in a sense. No family, no work papers that do not count in the Netherlands.
The roots.
The roots. They don't know what's going to happen. They're not even in a process yet. So if you talk about uncertainty, I think this is the biggest nasty uncertainty you can be in.
Yes, terrible.
So, well, I'm not. I hope, I can just, if it's just a tiny thing to contribute, but I want to save the space there, or make it a safe space. At least people can talk about the uncertainties or the hopes, and by that connect again, because they feel like, hey, you're in the same space. I don't have to feel fearful or judgmental, because those sentiments will always happen when you're in a not safe space. You push people that are not close to you. So I hope to connect with that. Do you also see facilitation in this broader micro perspective?
I think facilitation is of two parts. The actual facilitation in a meeting, so guiding a meeting to its end result, so toward what it achieve. And the second way, I said facilitation with a capital F, is to know what intervention to do. So sometimes a group doesn't need group intervention, it needs a consultant, or it needs a trainer, or it needs a coach, or it needs a project manager. So, and then as a facilitator, you should be able to have a network and think, okay, you have a problem with your management team. This is not a problem with your organization. Your management team has to be. So we are not going to do this innovative project now. First, I introduce a coach, and they are going to coach you in your interaction, because that's the facilitator, the capital F.
And is it for you very clear where facilitation stops and coaching begins? Because, I also explained, I'm also coaching, but sometimes I feel I'm more facilitating than coaching, and sometimes where I'm actually should be facilitating, I'm coaching a little bit. So do you think that's kind of wrong, or is there a clear line between those two?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you feel is needed and can save the space or the contribution to the
If you think it's wrong, it's wrong. If you think it's good, it's good.
Because some people are really firm with this is a coach and this is a facilitator. But if the power of questions is so meaningful for a safe space, you're coaching, right? In a sense.
The thing that they're not opposites. So I that's what I think. I'm resisting the framing as opposites. It's not opposites. It's complementary.
It's continuously.
So, it's a continuum, and people want perhaps need some clarity, and then like I did yesterday. Okay, what clarity do you create yourself? So that's
then you ask the question.
So it's coaching, it's training, it's consulting, it's teaching. I've seen some very good teachers who are basically facilitators.
Me too.
I've been trained as a physicist, but I also have an onderwijsbevoegdheid, how do you call it?
Educational.
I'm certified to stand in front of a classroom of
BKO?
12-year-olds and teaching them physics. And we had to do an internship with a very good facilitative teacher. For instance, when one of the pupils posed a question, he didn't answer it. He remained silent. And we were amazed. Why don't you answer the question? We asked him later. And he said, well, if somebody doesn't understand something, he also isn't able to pose a question. So I have to relax and slow down to enable the other to phrase his question. And sometimes
because they have a question behind it and they cannot grasp it.
If you don't grasp anything, if you don't understand it, you're also not able to pose a question. So probably you're posing the wrong question. And when you give an answer to the wrong question. And then they have two problems. They have the first thing, they don't understand.
You don't understand the teacher.
They understand neither. So that's I think the basic reason why people resent physics or mathematics at school, because they don't understand it, and when they ask a question, they get an answer they don't need.
Does not really resonate.
And then they stop asking questions, which is, I think, the most disastrous things you can do. Stop asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I often said with my students, why do you ask that?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I say, what do you think yourself? And then they will get into another loop. But often they feel like, just give me an answer. They can be a little bit frustrated too with you when you do that. Like, come on, you're the teacher, you know everything.
Yeah, but you have to do the work.
I don't know anything. I'm just facilitating here to get the knowledge around. Yeah.
I understand that you have to do the work.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I cannot make you understand. That's also, I think.
Yeah.
I cannot make you understand. You can only make yourself understand.
Yeah.
And it's a painful process. That's also, I think, transformation.
Learning can be really painful.
Of course.
Yeah. I never said I'm here just to have fun.
I have to be fun too.
Yeah, of course. That's the whole thing. And to get the equilibrium, because otherwise it gets too heavy for students, but also for people, for everyone. Yeah. So, okay, thank you so much for this broad explanation, a little journey in your life, and what about facilitation skills as a second profession.
You're welcome.
And when is this International Association of Facilitators conference?
It's 7th to 9th October.
October 2016.
2016 in Utrecht, in the Left Future Center. We start on Friday.
Okay.
It's a very sophisticated, very modern, very state-of-the-art meeting center.
Nice.
And we're being hosted there by Rijkswaterstaat.
Beautiful.
Very nice. And then we go to Contacte Continenten on Saturday and on Sunday evening. Sunday morning.
Yeah. And I might be privileged to host a session there too.
Yes, we hope to see you there.
Yeah.
And to work with you.
Yeah.
To learn more from you.
It might be called Get Agile. What do you think? What do you think? Like a command. Demanding. Let's see if that will trigger people.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're
and
welcome.
Looking forward to the conference.
Yes.
A lot.
Me too. Thank you.
Cool.